Morning folks, how are we doing? Hope you're good. It's definitely changing. He's got the Rab jacket back on. Fucking, that's how you know it is pretty bleak when you've got your big thermal coat on. Listen, if you're listening on audio, as always, please just take 2-3 minutes, if that, probably a minute, just to review the podcast for me. Just drop a little comment with the star rating. It would just help me out. That would be amazing. If you're enjoying what listening to that is, don't just do it for the sake of it. And listen, if you're looking for a coach, you're wanting to work with your health, your fitness, your mindset, getting everything squared away, then obviously there's the Brotherhood. There's some offers on there as well. It doesn't cost you more than £8 a week. It's like fuck all for a lot. All right. So all of that out of the way, let's talk about for those mindsets that maybe are feeling like there's just no point, so they just don't bother actually doing anything. Now, I come across this mindset a couple of times now when I've been talking to guys on the phone, and I ask why if they've been doing anything for a couple of months, and sometimes the response comes back, well, I don't really see myself getting out of this rut, so there is no point. Now, things must have been naturally going sort of downhill and spiraling out of control for you to have built up that mindset, because that is a serious kind of negative mindset in terms of thinking that it's all done. You know, no one is ever done and dusted, but it's easy to say that. Oh, sit here out the wind. So it's easy to say that, but there are probably things that have happened that maybe have got you to that point. You know, maybe you've put on so much weight that your self-esteem is just super low, your confidence is very low, and it's very difficult for you to overcome that and see any other way of getting back to your best, you know, being the best version of yourself. Maybe in your 20s that you were a footballer or a rugby player or a cricket player or something, and that was quite athletic, and a number of things have happened along the way. Now, I did a timeline of how sometimes I feel guys end up falling off the wagon and into the rut. And if you think about our life timeline, and I'm only going to take this up to 40s, you know, maybe even 50s I might take up, and this is not true of everyone, but you know, it's kind of a rough kind of idea. So if you think about within your 20s, you go through to your 26, that's usually when you're kind of a bit of a, most of us are bachelors, right? Most of us are single at that point. We're out, we go to the gym when we want, we don't necessarily have any responsibilities, we kind of just having a job so that we can go out the weekend maybe, go on holiday with the boys, and then what happens is usually around 26 or leading up into 30, we meet somebody and we suddenly find somebody that we want to settle down with. Early 30s, we kind of look at maybe getting married, having kids, or maybe we've had kids a little bit earlier, and suddenly there's responsibility, and we suddenly go from a free spirit to a not so free spirit, to put it mildly. And you know, the thing is that we suddenly have all of this overwhelm coming on top of us from nowhere. Out of the blue, suddenly there is a mortgage to pay. Suddenly there are bills to pay. Suddenly you now are supporting your wife and children so that your wife can look after the children. And all of the things that you used to be able to do, so when you used to be able to play football, when you used to be pretty athletic and you used to be fitter, you never really had any of those problems going on in your life, and those restrictions and those stresses and those frustrations. You know, most of us are now stuck in a job. Most of you are now stuck in a job that you dislike, but you have no choice. It's not like when you were 24, you could just quit and go, okay, yeah, I'm just going to get another job. You know, you now have to make sure you stay at that job so that you can keep working to earn money to support your family. So, you know, all of a sudden, as we're getting up into our late sort of 30s, we tend to be a little bit more stressed out, burnt out, worn out, fucking Groundhog Day, same again, and we lose a little bit of identity along the way. You know, I talked a couple of days ago about me. Enough. I talked a couple of days ago about losing my identity when I left the Marines. Now, for a lot of you guys, it could be the fact that, you know, the person that you were in your 20s, you kind of lost that identity. You kind of lost maybe that spark, that fire in the belly, that person that you want to be. You know, 10 years ago, would you have turned around and said, this is how I wanted my life to turn out in terms of emotions, not as in having a wife and kids? Okay, so in terms of being low self-esteem, low confidence, maybe 2 stone overweight, maybe a stone overweight. And these are things that you don't expect to be. You know, as we get older, our metabolism slow down a bit. Yeah, slow down a bit. God, tongue-tied. And we can't get away with things that we used to. So suddenly, you know, having those beers at the weekend, or suddenly, you know, where you used to be able to get away with eating what you want, you can't do that so much. And maybe you're not moving as much right now because you don't really prioritize yourself right now, because you're too busy working and grinding it out to make sure that the bills are paid. And it's a very difficult mentality to be in. You know, I speak to a lot of guys that go into their 40s and reaching their late 40s, and then what ends up happening is a lot of marriages break down because of your emotional state. You know, you end up becoming quite depressed. It's very difficult to put effort into a relationship when you can't put effort into yourself, and so on. I mean, this is the worst case scenario. This is not like everybody, all right? So don't quote me saying, well, this is not my life. But, you know, I'm just talking about in general, and we're just specifically talking about this mindset about where, you know, we kind of feel that it's all lost, it's all gone, and there's no way back, you know. And I just, you know, maybe you're able to resonate with that timeline. That's just the majority of the guys that I've spoken to. A large majority of them come up with that type of timeline, you know. And it is very true. We lose the fire in the belly. We lose, you know, the spark in life. And you know, a lot of things have distracted you from being the best version of yourself. But it's never too late. There's still a way to claw it back. And it's the same strategy that I always talk about. And it's about taking one step at a time, finding a small win, finding a purpose again, and finding that love for yourself again, even as a dad, even as a man. You know, even if you're not a dad, it's about finding that love for you again. It's about loving yourself again. You know, and we don't talk about that as men so much because, okay, it's not manly. Fuck off. Okay, we have to love ourselves. We have to want to be better. Okay, we have to look at our environment around us and look at the people that need us the most. Okay, you know, the kids want to see a happy dad. You are their role model. Your legacy are those children. Are you doing everything you can to be the best version of yourself and give the best legacy for those children? Okay, if you're not, it's not making a change. You know, it's very difficult. If you're in a rut, your fucking brain is like, you know, clustered. There's black cloud around you. You've got to do something. You've got to find that win. You've got to find an ounce of confidence, an ounce of self-esteem, and self-assurance, so that you are good enough to do this and that you can be much better than you're being. Because I genuinely believe every guy can be much better than they are. It's very difficult for you, even you're in that position right now, to see that because you probably had a rough time of it. However, there is adversity every day in life, and we can't dwell. We can't bury our heads in the sand. We can't rely on self-pity. We have to snap the fuck out of it. Okay, we do, and you have to. If you're going to make it happen, you have to snap the fuck out of it. Otherwise, you're going to stay in that mindset forever, pampering yourself, burying your head in the sand. Like, come here. And you're never going to move forwards. Okay? And you need, sit down please, and you need to make sure that you are moving forwards. There's only one shot of this. It doesn't matter what's happened before. It's about what happens tomorrow. Look after your tomorrow. Look after the people of your tomorrow. Alright? Let's snap out of that mindset, because it is never too late. It doesn't matter if you're a 50-year-old man that's had the worst life ever, you can fucking turn it around. If you've lost your wife, if you're divorced, if you hate your job, if you're 4 stone overweight, fuck that. You still have another 30 years left if you put the work in and you look after your body. I'm like serious, guys. It doesn't matter if you're 35, if you're 40, if you're 50, whatever your state right now, there's a way forwards. There is a way forwards. And I've seen it a million times. It takes hard work. Fuck, it is grinding hard work, and it would be the hardest work of your life, but you got to go for it. All right. Otherwise, what is the point? What's the point of like, you know, what was the point of having children and having a wife and trying to build a life, you know, going to work? We want to make sure that we find that key purpose. The key purpose is, if you're a dad, your kids. Like for me, like I can't see any other purpose other than being there for your kids and being the legacy, being the role model, being the leader, being the influence. You know, kids reflect us. And if you want your kids, obviously, to be, you know, be happy and be proud of you and look at you and say, fuck, that's my dad. You know, that's your purpose. And, you know, that kind of probably hits like a nerve, but that's the truth, guys. Like, you know, I'm not hiding this. I'm not saying, you know, this for the fucking sake of it. We want to be better for our kids. You know, if we've got a shit job, just roll with it. Fucking hell, you know. There's nothing you can do about it. It's not your priority right now. Your priority is to be healthier, fitter, have a much better work-life balance. When you come home, make sure you have a great work-life balance so that you're more focused on the things that you love. Just do your job, come home. Fucking enjoy that time. Make the memories. Right, guys. So listen, I hope that helps. I'm going to be sticking this up on the podcast later and sticking up on YouTube and a website, and I'll be emailing it out. I hope you have a great day. I hope you take into consideration the things that we've talked about today. There's lots to think about. You're capable of much more. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever allow yourself to think any less of yourself. You're 100% focused. Get that fire back in the belly. Get the spark going again for life. And let's fucking roll.